Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Things Politics. I'm your host, Bub. Let's get right to it. The U.S.-Russia nuclear arms treaty, known as New START, has expired. This treaty was established in 2010 by then President Barack Obama and Russian President DMITRY Medvedev. It seems, though, that for some reason the Trump administration does not deem it necessary or important to renew or restart this treaty. For greater clarity on this issue, I have a clip courtesy of PBS NewsHour that I'd like to play for the public, and afterwards we can discuss it to, some degree.
Welcome to the NewsHour. For the first time in more than a half century, there are no limits on the world's two largest atomic arsenals. The sole remaining nuclear arms treaty in the world, known as New START, is expiring, and arms control advocates fear a new arms race. Nick Schifrin starts our coverage.
They're the world's deadliest weapons, able to obliterate entire cities. And when mounted on missiles, can fly thousands of miles in minutes. And for the last 15 years, the deployment of Russian and American long-range nuclear weapons has been restricted.
Today is an important milestone for nuclear security and non-proliferation.
It was 2010 when President Barack Obama and then Russian President Dmitry Medvedev signed the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. It limited the U.S. and Russia to 700 deployed intercontinental ballistic missiles on land, at sea, and on heavy bombers, and it limited to 1,550 the number of deployed nuclear warheads. It also included extensive verification measures, such as movement notifications, data exchanges, and on-site inspections, although the inspections stopped during COVID and never resumed.
That the New START treaty is in the national security interests of the United States.
In 2021, the U.S. and Russia agreed to extend the treaty for another 5 years until today. Last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered to extend it further into next year.
In the past, the New START treaty worked. It worked well, fulfilling its fundamental role as a constraint, curbing the arms race and controlling weapons.
But today in Washington, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said New START was no longer fit for purpose.
What does the Trump administration mean by it was no longer fit for purpose? I think that it gives one the thought that, okay, someone else isn't in on the treaty or should be a part of the treaty, but isn't willing to be. China, perhaps. In any respect, this nuclear arms race thing, just the fact that they have this many nuclear warheads doesn't make any sense, other than if war happens, nuclear war happens, it would end everything and everybody. So to have them, again, doesn't make sense. It would stop humanity. It would kill off all life on the planet. You would think that these governments, these administrations would say, instead of let's not have a nuclear arms race, let's get rid of these nuclear arsenals, these stockpiles. That doesn't seem to be the case.
In order to have true arms control in the 21st century, it's impossible to do something that doesn't include China because of their vast and rapidly growing stockpile.
For years, China's stockpile has been a fraction of the U.S. and Russian stockpile, what Beijing has long labeled a minimum level required for national security. But the Department of Defense says by 2030, Beijing will have more than 1,000 warheads, including lower-yield tactical nuclear weapons.
And this goes out to all of them, the U.S., Russia, China, and anyone else who has a nuclear stockpile of that degree, that many nuclear weapons. It doesn't make sense, to have that many nuclear weapons. Once the strike starts, that'd be the end of everything anyway. So just to have nuclear warheads or nuclear weapons in the thousands doesn't make a lot of sense. And if you want to talk about national security or national security concerns, one should be, we shouldn't have nuclear weapons,
But regardless of adversaries' arsenals, for decades, the U.S.'s nuclear deterrence works thanks to trust that the U.S. will provide allies a nuclear umbrella. But some allies are losing the faith.
I think one of the direct consequences of the recent diplomatic noise is that that credibility just isn't there right now.
Jonas Kibsgaard is a lieutenant colonel at the Norwegian Armed Forces Command and a professor at the Staff College. He says the U.S. can no longer be trusted to use nuclear weapons to protect Europe and is urging a Nordic nuke, allowing.
So that means then Norway will develop nuclear weapons as well? It seems like the whole world is about to proliferate. You have the issue with Iran wanting nuclear weapons as, I would imagine, a deterrent. Most of the world powers have nuclear weapons. So I think that then those who don't have them see it necessary to have them. Why? To protect sovereignty, their way of life, or whatever the case may be. But to have a situation where everyone wants a nuclear weapon, chances are something will go wrong sooner rather than later with these nuclear weapons.
In the U.S. to focus on China.
It's crucial that America actually focuses on Southeast Asia, and that means that European allies need to finally step up and actually complete their defenses.
Support Germany.
Well, there that is. I don't know. This whole issue about nuclear arms or the nuclear arm race, the proliferation, the stockpiles, all this stuff, it's not in the interest of humanity. That's just my take on it. Again, if I'm wrong, someone please come in the comments and let's have that discussion about the U.S., Russia / China. Now Norway wants a nuclear weapon. Let's have that discussion. This is All Things Politics. Take care of yourself and each other.